So I'm a couple days behind on this, but I felt like this is so monumental that I can't really let it go by without making a video on it, and that is that The Flash is ending with Season 9. Now this isn't really unexpected. I think a lot of us in kind of the DCTV and Arrowverse fandom did expect that Flash, if it wasn't ending with Season 9, that Season 10 would be the final season, that it kind of was on its last couple of years, because even Eric Wallace, he's done articles saying that Season 8, he wrote Season 8 as a final season, and you can really tell, like, a lot of Season 8 does feel like it's wrapping up a lot of storylines, wrapping up a lot of characters and plot lines, so the fact we're getting a Season 9 is also kind of crazy. But the reason why this is so monumental is because this isn't just the end of The Flash. After the last couple months, it's come to everyone's attention that this is pretty much the end of the Arrowverse as well. Legends of Tomorrow and Batwoman have been cancelled. Supergirl, Black Lightning and Arrow all ended recently. Well, recently being the last couple of years. Now Flash is ending and Superman and Lois pulling out of the Arrowverse as well. This is all kind of means that once Flash ends, about a year from now, that's it. This universe of shows that has been going on for 11 years by the time The Flash ends, and that's nothing to kind of go, oh, well, it's about time kind of thing. Like, 11 years is nothing to sort of wave your hand at. Like, 11 years is pretty damn impressive. So, serious props to the shows for doing that. I was on Infotex's podcast yesterday where we were talking about the end of The Flash, so I kind of got a lot of my immediate thoughts out about the episode there, or about the show ending there. I'm not sure when he's putting up the podcast. It might be by the end of this week, so check it out and subscribe to Infotex, because Darren is just one of the coolest people on here, makes great videos. But yeah, so this being the end of the Arrowverse is why this is kind of so monumental. Now, in terms of it being a final season, we're getting 13 episodes, which is unexpected. That is one part of this news that is unexpected. I know a lot of people were saying that the filming dates kind of would have added up to it being about a 13-episode season, because we got the announcement that the dates were going to be filming from middle of September until middle-ish of April, and everybody kind of worked out that would mean 13 or 14 episodes. Now, I will say that didn't really confirm that it was going to be 13 episodes for me, because usually with The Flash, how much episodes in recent years anyway, how much episodes we think these DC shows are getting ends up being extended by the time they're reaching their filming date. Like with Season 8, for example, it was thought to be 16 to 18 episodes for most of the season, and then out of nowhere it got an extended order to get to 20 episodes. So I thought that was very likely to happen with this, but now that we have gotten confirmation it's a 13-episode final season, that means that this is the shortest season of The Flash to date, and one of the shortest seasons in the Arrowverse as a whole. So that's pretty damn crazy. Now, I actually think that this is a really good sign. Arrow had a 10-episode final season, and in my opinion, how Arrow handled its final season is the absolute peak of what you would want from a show. Like, Arrow is my favorite show of all time. I think they handled their final season so well. I have a few minor gripes of final season, mainly that I think that using some episodes to set up the spin-off was not the best decision, especially since the spin-off didn't go ahead. And also, yes, it was a little frustrating that the final season essentially was a setup for a crossover. But I think that they ended up utilizing the fact that it was a setup for the crossover to tell some really great stories and to do some really great things with their main characters. Like, I think Arrow's final season is celebratory. I think it's heartfelt. I think it has legitimate stakes for all of the characters. I think that they give a goodbye to everybody in a spectacular way. That is what I want from The Flash. And the fact that Flash Season 9 has been announced as the final season so far ahead of time, and the fact that it is 13 episodes instead of the usual, 16, 18, 20, 22 episodes, I think that this gives them a really good kind of way to make the season be celebratory of the show itself, and to really give to the fans something that feels like a goodbye to these characters. Now, I know a lot of people are kind of hoping that this as well will be a goodbye to the Arrowverse as a whole. That is my ideal scenario, would be that this season is treated as a goodbye to the Arrowverse as a whole, obviously with Flash at the very centre of everything, but still use it as a way to kind of go, look, the Arrowverse is ending, let's do as much as we can here to kind of say a goodbye to that, because this is such a huge thing, because we haven't really gotten a goodbye to the Arrowverse. Like, Legends and Batwoman ended so suddenly that it was kind of hard to give any sort of resolution to a lot of these storylines and characters that we wanted to see. Also, Armageddon felt like it was going to be the first kind of it's a mini crossover, but it's the first step back to getting back to the big crossovers, and now Armageddon ended up being this just very lucky thing we got. But on the other hand, even though a goodbye to the Arrowverse would be great, I think that true, this needs to be a goodbye to the Flash. Like, this needs to be first and foremost a Flash-centric season, a season that is about Flash characters, is about celebrating the Flash's 9-year run, and then if you have the time, you have the opportunity, bring in some Arrowverse stuff, say goodbye to some characters. We could get Stephen Amell back as Oliver Queen for even one scene. That would be fantastic in the final or something. I would absolutely love that. But also the fact that Flash is kind of on its own earth now. You don't have to worry about dealing with ramifications of future stuff happening. You don't have to worry about the fact that, oh, there's a couple spin-offs coming down the road. You can't do anything major that's going to kind of affect the status quo of everything. You don't have to worry about Superman and Lois kind of dealing with anything in this universe now. So you can kind of do whatever you want. Like, you can end the Arrowverse in any way you want to end it now. Like, you don't have to worry about affecting other shows. So that means that they could do some really interesting stuff. I know that I've wanted for a while, and my ideal scenario for the end of the show would be to deal with the 2024 thing. Now, yes, Crisis was pushed forward to 2019. We don't know if anything major in 2024 still is set to happen. But I think because 2024 was the date that I was dangling in front of the show for 6 years, I think that you should circle back to that. I think you should still do something major, like have it that maybe it's not Crisis on Infinite Earths level, but something big still happens in 2024 and we can kind of end the show there. If you want to do like a year jump between season 8 and season 9, so that season 9 takes place in 2024 instead of 2023, and then you could deal with all of that, I think that would be a really interesting way to go. In general though, I just want to see some characters back, like Cisco, Wally, Eddie, a lot of that sort of stuff. I think kind of the stuff everybody wants to see is kind of what I want to see as well. But I feel like the Flash fandom in general is normally on the same page when it comes to like big things we think that the show needs to do, or we need to see on the show. Like, yeah, of course there's differing opinions on what people want to see, but I think like for the most part there isn't kind of any major things that most of us disagree on what we want to see. Like, I think Barry Iris being a big part of the final season is kind of a given. I think that there's just a lot of little things that we want to see before the show wraps up. I know a real big origin for Eobard Thawne, for Matt Letcher's version of the character, is kind of needed. I'm not expecting that to happen, unfortunately. I would love that to happen. I think maybe getting one episode of Matt is possible, but I think like as a whole I'm not really expecting that to be a big part of the final season. But just in like general, this feels very different to me. Now, I've had my problems with The Flash a lot of times over the years. Season 5 and 7 in particular, I feel kind of very weary about. But the Arrowverse has been such an important part of my life for years, since it started. Like, I've been watching Arrow since it started. I've been watching Flash since it started. The reason I started making videos in the first place is because I loved Arrow, Flash, Supergirl so much that I just needed to talk about them. I just needed to get my ideas out there. Now, yeah, at this point, this channel kind of feels like it's more geared towards Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. than Arrowverse stuff, but I feel like I still have sort of a balance between Arrowverse and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Once the Arrowverse ends, I don't know what I'm gonna do, because they're a big reason why I love talking about comic book stuff so much. They're a big reason why I'm into this sort of stuff. So it does feel kind of weird that this huge part of my life when it comes to TV and movies is now about to be gone forever. So I've got my fingers crossed that somehow there's going to be some kind of spin-off that will keep this going. But unfortunately with the state of DC, with like things like the Batgirl movie just getting cancelled, I think that we're in a place now where this is it for the Arrowverse. I don't even know if shows like Stargirl or Superman and Lois have very long left in them. I think DCTV as a whole 5 years from now is going to look so different than it does right now. And that is a little bit scary, because I know people want to see bigger DC stuff, like when it comes to TV shows and movies. Like, I know people have hated the Arrowverse and have so many problems with it, but I think that the variance when it comes to DC and TV is what makes these shows so popular. Like with Marvel, when it comes to their TV shows, now that they've got all their Disney Plus shows in one place, the MCU Disney Plus shows, they feel so similar in a way. Structure, episode count, quality wise, they just feel so similar. And I don't want that to happen to DC. I love that DC has the variance and the difference in all of its kind of shows. Like Peacemaker, yeah, is great, but so is shows like Doom Patrol, so is shows like Arrow, so are shows like Superman and Lois and Stargirl, but they're all so different in how they approach everything. I don't want DC and TV to become this kind of thing where we kind of know what to expect from more or less every TV show as it's coming out. And unfortunately, I feel like that's where we're heading. I feel like we're heading in a direction that 5 years from now, every DC show even though they're having different characters, they're gonna have the very similar structures. They're gonna have very similar feels to them. So that's just unfortunate. But how are you feeling about the Flash ending? How are you feeling about the Arrowverse ending as a whole? I'm going to hopefully get another Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. video up tomorrow. If you're not subscribed yet, please do so. I'm only like 25, I think, as the time of this video going up, away from 1,000, which is crazy because I was barely thinking I would hit 1,000 this year, but I feel like it's very doable by like the end of August to hit 1,000 now. These Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. videos have really helped out the channel. But like I was at about 750 at the end of May, and now already nearly at 1,000, which is pretty great for me personally. Like I'm not used to that kind of growth. Definitely not since Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was on. So and I just kind of really am enjoying seeing so many people talk about, like, not just Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but just about DC shows and Marvel shows in general on these videos. Like, it's just really nice to see people actually want to talk about this stuff. So yeah, so if you're not subscribed, please do so, and like and share and all of that, and I hope you have a great day.